One day, you are going to die. I know that sounds dark. Maybe you don't want to hear it. Maybe you want to skip this video because nobody likes thinking about death. But stay with me for a moment, because I'm not here to talk about how you will die. I'm here to ask you something much more uncomfortable. What if you are already dying without realizing it? Not physically, but slowly. Day after day, you wake up in the morning, you check your phone, you go to work or study, you come home, you eat, you scroll, you watch something, you go to sleep, and then you do it all again tomorrow. Another day, another week, another month, another year, and suddenly you look back and wonder, where did all that time go? Maybe you had dreams when you were younger. You wanted to travel. You wanted to learn something. You wanted to become confident. You wanted to start something of your own. You wanted to speak English without fear. You wanted to become a completely different version of yourself. But somehow you kept saying, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll start. Tomorrow I'll practice. Tomorrow I'll take that chance. Tomorrow I'll become the person I want to be. And tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. Next month becomes next year. And one day you realize something painful. You weren't waiting for the right time. You were waiting for life to become easier. But life doesn't always become easier. Sometimes you simply have to become stronger. Sometimes you have to start while you're afraid. You have to speak while your English isn't perfect. You have to take the first step before you know exactly where the road will lead. Because the biggest tragedy isn't that life ends. The biggest tragedy is reaching the end of your life and realizing you never really lived it. You were alive. You were breathing. You were waking up every morning. But you were only existing. And maybe you don't need another year to change your life. Maybe you need one decision. One moment where you finally say, I'm not waiting anymore, because your life is not going to begin someday. Your life is happening right now. Now let me ask you another question. When was the last time you did something that truly made you feel alive? Not something you did because you had to. Not something you did because everyone else was doing it. I mean something you chose. Something that made you excited to wake up in the morning. Maybe it was learning something new. Maybe it was traveling somewhere you've never been. Maybe it was having a deep conversation with someone you love. Maybe it was starting a dream you had been thinking about for years. Or maybe you can't remember. And if you can't remember, that's okay. But I want you to think about why. Because sometimes we don't lose our dreams. We simply become too busy to remember them. Life gets noisy. Work, school, bills, responsibilities, notifications, social media, other people's expectations. And slowly, without noticing, we build a life around what we have to do instead of what we want to do. We become experts at surviving the day, but we forget how to enjoy the day. You wake up because your alarm tells you to wake up. You work because you need to work. You eat because you're hungry. You sleep because you're tired. And then the same cycle begins again. There is nothing wrong with having responsibilities. There is nothing wrong with working hard. There is nothing wrong with having a routine. The problem is when your routine becomes your entire life. When every day feels exactly like yesterday. When you stop being curious. When you stop trying. When you stop asking yourself, what do I actually want? And maybe the most dangerous part is that this kind of life doesn't always feel terrible. Sometimes it feels comfortable. And that's why it's so difficult to escape. Comfort can be beautiful, but too much comfort can quietly become a cage. You tell yourself, I'm fine. My life is okay. I'll do it later. I have plenty of time. But do you? Think about the last 5 years of your life. They probably felt long while you were living them. But now they're gone. 5 years, just like that. And the strange thing about time is that you usually don't notice it leaving. You notice it only when you look back. That's why you shouldn't wait for some dramatic moment to start living. You don't need to quit everything tomorrow. You don't need to move to another country. You don't need millions of dollars. You don't need a perfect plan. You can start with something incredibly small. Read that book you've been postponing. Go for a walk without your phone. Call someone you haven't spoken to in a long time. Learn something you've always been curious about. Practice the English you've been afraid to speak. Say something you've been keeping inside. Try something you've never tried before. Because living isn't always about doing something huge. Sometimes living is simply being present for your own life. Look at the people around you. Listen when someone speaks to you. Enjoy your morning coffee. Watch the sunset. Laugh without checking your phone. Learn something because you're curious, not because you need a certificate. Speak English even when you make mistakes. Take the opportunity even when you're nervous. These small moments are your life, and you don't get them back. You don't need to wait until everything is perfect to appreciate them, because perfection is another form of waiting. We tell ourselves, when I have more money, I'll be happy. When I become successful, I'll relax. When my English improves, I'll speak. When I become confident, I'll take risks. When life becomes easier, I'll finally enjoy it. But what if that day never comes? What if confidence comes after you take the risk? What if your English improves because you start speaking? What if happiness isn't waiting for you somewhere in the future? What if you have to start creating it with the life you already have? That's the shift I want you to understand. Stop waiting for your real life to begin. You are already in it. Today matters. This morning matters. This conversation matters. This moment matters. And you may never get this exact moment again. So don't just ask yourself, what do I need to do today? Ask yourself something deeper. What kind of person do I want to become? Because your life is being shaped by what you repeatedly do. Every day you choose. You choose whether to learn or remain the same. You choose whether to speak or stay silent. You choose whether to take the first step or keep waiting. And you don't have to make 100 changes today. Just make one. One small decision. One brave action. One thing you've been postponing. Because sometimes, changing your life doesn't begin with a huge transformation. It begins with a simple sentence. I'm not going to waste today. Now think about one word that quietly controls millions of lives. That word is someday. Someday I'll start. Someday I'll travel. Someday I'll learn English. Someday I'll become confident. Someday I'll start exercising. Someday I'll call that person. Someday I'll follow my dream. We say this word so easily. Someday. It sounds harmless. It sounds hopeful. But sometimes, someday is simply another name for never, because the problem with someday is that it doesn't exist on your calendar. There is Monday. There is Tuesday. There is January. There is December. But there is no day called someday. And yet, we keep giving our dreams to it. We keep telling ourselves that we'll begin when life is better, when we have more money, when we have more time, when we're more confident, when we're less busy, when our English is perfect, when we're not afraid anymore. But here's something you need to understand. You may never feel completely ready. You may always have a reason to wait. There will always be another problem, another responsibility, another bill, another difficult day, another excuse. And if you wait for the perfect moment, you may spend your entire life waiting. Think about learning English. Maybe you've been studying for months. Maybe you've been studying for years. You know vocabulary. You understand grammar. You watch English videos. You understand what people are saying. But when it's your turn to speak, you become nervous. You think, what if I make a mistake? What if they laugh? What if my pronunciation is wrong? What if I forget a word? So you stay quiet. And you tell yourself, I'll speak when my English gets better. But how will your English get better if you never speak? That's the trap. You are waiting for confidence before taking action. But confidence usually comes because you take action. You don't become confident and then start. You start and slowly become confident. The first time you speak English, maybe your voice shakes. Maybe you forget simple words. Maybe your grammar isn't perfect. That's okay. The second time might be a little easier, then the third, then the 10th. And one day, you realize you're speaking without thinking so much about every mistake. That's how growth works. Not in one giant moment, but through hundreds of small moments when you choose to continue. And this applies to everything. Maybe you want to start a business. You don't need to know everything before you begin. Maybe you want to write a book. You don't need to know how the final chapter will look. Maybe you want to get healthier. You don't need to become a completely different person tomorrow. Maybe you want to repair a relationship. You may simply need to make the first call. Maybe you want to travel. You can start by choosing one place. The first step doesn't have to be impressive. It just has to be real. Because we often imagine change as something dramatic. We think one day we're going to wake up completely different, more disciplined, more confident, more successful, more motivated. But real change usually doesn't feel dramatic. It feels small. It feels like waking up when you said you would. It feels like putting your phone away for an hour. It feels like practicing when nobody is watching. It feels like speaking English even though you're nervous. It feels like saying no to something that wastes your time. It feels like saying yes to something that scares you. These moments may look insignificant, but they are building your future. Every choice is a vote for the person you're becoming. And that's why you need to be careful with the phrase, "I'll do it tomorrow." Because tomorrow is powerful. Tomorrow allows you to feel like you're making progress without actually doing anything. You can imagine yourself learning tomorrow. You can imagine yourself exercising tomorrow. You can imagine yourself becoming successful tomorrow. And for a few minutes you feel good. But imagination is not action. Planning is not action. Wanting is not action. Action is action. So if there's something you've been postponing, don't ask yourself, "When will I finally have enough time?" Ask, "What can I do for 10 minutes today?" 10 minutes, that's all. 10 minutes of English, 10 minutes of reading, 10 minutes of walking, 10 minutes working on your dream, 10 minutes learning something new. 10 minutes can look small, but 10 minutes repeated every day becomes hours. Hours become habits. Habits become skills, and skills can change your life. You don't need to change your entire life tonight. You simply need to stop abandoning yourself every day. Stop making promises to your future self that you never keep. If you say you're going to practice, practice. If you say you're going to start, start. If you say you're going to try, try. Even if it's imperfect, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you're scared. Because one day, your future self is going to look back at the person you are today. And I want that person to be proud. I want you to be able to say, "I didn't wait forever. I started." And maybe that's the real message of this entire video. You don't need another sign. You don't need another motivational video. You don't need someone to give you permission. You already know there is something you've been postponing. So ask yourself one simple question. What is one thing I can start today? Not tomorrow, not next month, not someday. Today. Because your future is being created by what you do with this moment. There is something else we need to understand. Sometimes we don't waste our lives because we're lazy. Sometimes we waste them because we're distracted. And distraction is everywhere. You wake up and reach for your phone. Before you even get out of bed, you've already entered hundreds of other people's lives. Someone is traveling. Someone is getting married. Someone is becoming successful. Someone is buying a new car. Someone is living the life you think you should be living. And without realizing it, you spend hours watching other people live while your own life is happening quietly in front of you. Think about that. You can spend an entire evening scrolling through videos about people achieving their dreams while doing nothing about your own. You can watch videos about fitness without exercising. Watch videos about learning English without speaking. Watch videos about productivity without doing the work. Watch motivational videos without taking action. And I'm not saying these things are bad. Learning is good. Watching useful content is good. Motivation can help, but there comes a moment when you have to stop consuming and start living. Because information without action doesn't change your life. You can know exactly what you should do, but knowing isn't the same as doing. You might know that you should practice English every day. You might know that you should read more. You might know that you should exercise. You might know that you should spend more time with your family. You might know that you should stop wasting hours on your phone, but knowing doesn't create change. Doing does. And here's something important. You don't have to completely escape technology. You don't have to delete every social media app. You don't have to disappear from the world. You simply need to take back control of your attention, because your attention is one of the most valuable things you have. Where your attention goes, your life follows. If you spend your attention on fear, fear becomes bigger. If you spend your attention on comparison, you'll always feel behind. If you spend your attention on distractions, your goals will always feel far away. But if you spend your attention on learning, on people you love, on meaningful experiences, on your health, on your dreams, your life starts to change. And this is where I want to connect this message back to you. Maybe you're watching this because you want to improve your English. That's a great goal. But don't turn English into another thing you are always preparing for. Don't spend years preparing to speak. Speak. Don't wait until your grammar is perfect. Don't wait until you know every word. Don't wait until you feel completely confident. Use what you know. Make mistakes. Have conversations. Talk to yourself. Describe your surroundings. Tell stories. Express your opinions. Because English isn't just something you study. It's something you use to live. Maybe one day, English will help you talk to someone from another country. Maybe it will help you get a better job. Maybe it will help you travel. Maybe it will help you make a new friend. Maybe it will open a door you haven't even imagined yet. But none of that happens if English remains inside your notebook. You have to take it into the real world. And the same is true for life. Your dreams cannot remain inside your head forever. At some point, you have to take them into the real world. You have to give them a chance. You have to risk being bad at something before you can become good at it. You have to risk rejection before you can experience connection. You have to risk failure before you can discover what you're capable of. And yes, sometimes you will fail. Sometimes you'll make the wrong decision. Sometimes you'll embarrass yourself. Sometimes you'll work hard and still not get what you wanted. That's part of being alive. A meaningful life isn't a life without failure. It's a life where you keep moving despite failure. So stop waiting for everything to feel safe. Stop waiting for everyone to approve. Stop waiting for confidence to magically appear. Sometimes you have to move first. Confidence follows action. And here's something beautiful. You don't need to become fearless. You can be afraid and still go. You can be nervous and still speak. You can be uncertain and still begin. You can be imperfect and still be proud of yourself. That's courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is refusing to let fear make every decision for you. So today, look at your life differently. Don't just look at what is missing. Look at what is already here. The people you can call, the places you can explore, the skills you can learn, the words you can speak, the mornings you can wake up and appreciate, the opportunities you haven't noticed yet. You have more possibilities than you think. And maybe you don't need a completely new life. Maybe you need to become more present in the life you already have. Put the phone down sometimes. Look around. Listen. Talk. Learn. Laugh. Try. Fail. Begin again. Because one day, all of these ordinary moments will become memories. And when you look back, you won't remember every notification you received. You won't remember every video you watched. You won't remember every hour you spent scrolling. You'll remember the people, the places, the risks, the conversations, the moments when you were brave enough to say, "Yes, I'm going to try." And that's why your life is happening now, not next year, not when you're richer, not when you're more confident, not when your English is perfect, now. So don't just prepare for life. Don't just watch other people live. Don't just dream about becoming someone different. Take one small step today, because your life doesn't need to be perfect to be meaningful. It just needs to be lived. Now, maybe you're thinking, okay, I understand. I need to stop waiting. But what do I actually do? And that's the most important question. Because motivation feels powerful while you're watching a video. You feel inspired. You feel ready. You tell yourself, tomorrow will be different. But then the video ends. You put your phone down. You go back to your normal routine. And 2 days later, everything is exactly the same. So I don't want this video to give you another temporary feeling. I want you to leave with something you can actually use. A simple decision. Start living intentionally. That doesn't mean you need to completely change your life tomorrow. You don't need to quit your job. You don't need to move to another country. You don't need to become rich. You don't need to wake up at 5 in the morning. And you definitely don't need to become a perfect person. You simply need to start making better decisions with the time you already have. Let's make it simple. Starting today, choose 5 things. 5 small things that remind you that you are not just existing. You are living. Number 1, learn something. Every single day, learn something that makes you a little better. It could be English. It could be reading. It could be a new skill. It could be something completely unrelated to your work. The point isn't to become an expert overnight. The point is to keep your mind alive. And if you're learning English, don't just memorize another list of words. Use them. Speak them. Create sentences. Tell yourself a story. Talk about your day, because learning becomes powerful when you turn knowledge into action. Number 2, move your body. You don't need an expensive gym membership. Go for a walk, stretch, run, play a sport, dance. Do something that reminds you that your body is not just carrying you through life. It's part of the experience. Sometimes we spend so much time inside our heads that we forget to experience the world physically. Go outside, feel the sunlight. Walk somewhere you've never walked before. Look around. Be present. Number 3, talk to someone you care about. This one is simple. Call your parents. Message an old friend. Ask someone how they're really doing. Have a conversation without looking at your phone every few seconds. Because one day, you may wish you had spent more time with the people who mattered. We often assume we'll always have another chance, another conversation, another dinner, another visit, another year. But life doesn't make promises. So when someone matters to you, show them. Number 4, do one thing that scares you. Not something dangerous, something meaningful. Speak English even though you're afraid of making mistakes. Apply for the opportunity. Ask the question. Start the project. Post the video. Talk to someone new. Go somewhere alone. Whatever it is. Take one small step outside your comfort zone. Because if you always choose what feels comfortable, your world slowly becomes smaller. But when you challenge yourself, something happens. You discover that you are capable of more than you thought. And that's how confidence is built. Not by thinking, I can do this, but by doing something difficult and realizing, I actually did it. Number 5, Give yourself time to be present. This might be the most important one. Put your phone away. Sit quietly. Go outside. Watch the sunset. Drink your coffee slowly. Listen to music. Write in a notebook. Think about your life. Ask yourself, am I happy with the direction I'm going? Not, am I as successful as that person? Not, do other people think I'm doing well? Ask, is this the life I want to build? Because comparison can make you forget your own journey. You don't need someone else's life. You need to build a life that feels meaningful to you. And here's where everything comes together. Maybe you thought this video was only about motivation, but it's also about the way you use your time. Every day, you're practicing something. Maybe you're practicing English. Maybe you're practicing confidence. Maybe you're practicing discipline. But you're also practicing your lifestyle. If you spend 5 hours scrolling every day, you're practicing scrolling. If you constantly postpone your goals, you're practicing postponing. If you avoid every uncomfortable situation, you're practicing avoidance. But if you read every day, you're practicing learning. If you speak English every day, you're practicing communication. If you take small risks, you're practicing courage. If you keep your promises to yourself, you're practicing self-respect. Your habits are teaching you who to become. That's why, don't underestimate small actions. You don't need to transform your entire life in one day. You need to stop repeating the same day without thinking. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, don't immediately reach for your phone. Take a moment. Look around. Take a breath and ask, what am I going to do with this day? Then choose one meaningful thing, just one. Maybe it's 10 minutes of English speaking. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's calling someone. Maybe it's working on your dream. Maybe it's finally starting the thing you've been postponing. And when you finish it, don't underestimate that moment. You kept a promise to yourself. Then do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. That's how a different life begins. Not with motivation, not with a perfect plan, but with small decisions repeated consistently. And remember something else. You are going to make mistakes. You are going to have bad days. Some mornings, you won't feel motivated. Some days, you'll fall back into old habits. That's okay. Don't turn one bad day into a bad month. Don't turn one mistake into an identity. Start again. You are allowed to begin again as many times as you need. Because the goal isn't to live a perfect life. The goal is to live a life you don't constantly wish you had started. So if there is something you've been waiting to do, don't promise yourself that you'll do it someday. Give it a date, give it an hour, give it 10 minutes, and begin, because your future self is not waiting for a miracle. Your future self is waiting for your decision today. Now we've reached the final part, and I want to bring everything back to the sentence we started with. Don't die before your death. Maybe you've heard motivational messages before. Maybe you've watched hundreds of videos telling you to work harder, wake up earlier, stay disciplined, chase your dreams, and become successful. But this isn't about becoming more successful. It's about becoming more alive. Because you can have a successful career and still feel empty. You can have money and still feel unhappy. You can have thousands of followers and still feel completely alone. You can know hundreds of English words and still be afraid to speak. You can achieve many things and still wonder, is this really the life I wanted? That's why success should never be the only goal. Your life is bigger than your achievements. It's bigger than your job, bigger than your bank account, bigger than your social media profile. Your life is the collection of moments you actually experience, the conversations you have, the people you love, the places you see, the lessons you learn, the mistakes you survive, the risks you take, the memories you create, and the person you become along the way. So before this video ends, I want you to imagine something. Imagine yourself 20 years from now. You're sitting somewhere quietly, and you're looking back at the person you are today. You remember your current problems, your worries, your fears, your excuses, the things you're postponing, the dreams you've been thinking about. And then you ask yourself, did I live? Not, did I become famous? Not, did I become richer than everyone else? Not, did everyone approve of me? Just, did I live? Did you take chances? Did you love people deeply? Did you learn? Did you explore? Did you try? Did you forgive? Did you speak when you were afraid? Did you become the person you wanted to become? Or did you spend most of your time waiting? Waiting for confidence, waiting for money, waiting for the perfect opportunity, waiting for your English to become perfect, waiting for life to become easier. Because one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is, I'll start when I'm ready. But maybe you're never going to feel ready. Maybe readiness isn't something you wait for. Maybe readiness is something you create by taking the first step. So if you've been afraid to speak English, speak. If you've been afraid to start something, start. If you've been waiting to call someone, call them. If you've been dreaming about going somewhere, make a plan. If you've been wanting to learn something, open the book. If you've been waiting to change, change one small thing today. You don't need to fix your entire life tonight. You just need to stop giving your entire life to tomorrow. Because tomorrow is a promise nobody made to you. Today is what you have. This moment is what you have. And this moment is enough to begin. So when this video ends, don't just say, that was a good video. Don't just feel motivated for 10 minutes and then go back to the same routine. Do something. Something small. Something real. Stand up. Put your phone away. Take a walk. Write down one goal. Practice your English for 5 minutes. Send that message. Start that project. Look at yourself in the mirror and make one promise. I'm going to stop waiting for my life to begin. And then keep that promise. Not perfectly, just honestly, because your life doesn't need to look like someone else's. You don't need to become the richest person. You don't need to become the most successful person. You don't need to impress everyone. You simply need to build a life that feels like yours. And if you're learning English, remember this too. Don't spend your whole life preparing to speak. Speak. Your English doesn't have to be perfect. Your pronunciation doesn't have to be perfect. Your grammar doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need to know every word. You just need to communicate. Make mistakes. Laugh at yourself. Try again. Because one day, you may look back and realize that the thing you were so afraid of wasn't as scary as you thought. And maybe that's what life is really asking from you. Not perfection, not certainty, just participation. Be here, be present, take part in your own life. Don't watch it from the sidelines. Don't spend every day watching other people achieve their dreams while yours stays inside your head. Don't let fear make every decision for you. Don't let comfort become your prison. Don't let your phone consume the moments you can never get back. Don't keep saying, someday. Choose today. Because one day, your story will end. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Your time is limited, and that is exactly why it matters. So go live. Go learn. Go speak. Go love. Go explore. Go fail. Go try again. Go become the person you've been postponing. And when you're afraid, remember, you don't need to know exactly where the road ends. You only need enough courage to take the next step. So take it, today. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Because you are here, you are alive, you still have time. And as long as you have time, you have a chance to change something. A chance to learn something, a chance to love someone, a chance to become someone new, a chance to finally start living. So please, don't die before your death. And when you close this video, I want you to remember just one sentence. Don't wait for life to become perfect. Start living the life you have. Now go. Live it.